when this particular instance happened very recently in Pahalgam region of Kashmir. Now, Pahalgam, which is often touted as a mini Switzerland, and Kashmir, which is often touted as the heaven on earth. If tourists going into that place with a very clear-cut vision of having a good time, if they are suffering this, then just imagine what the local population of that particular region would be facing. And leaving that aside as well, just imagine how those families would have felt when they would have seen their loved ones lying in front of them dead. There can be no horrible, gruesome terror attack than this. And this is not something which is new to this particular region. Since last many decades, terrorism in Kashmir has been at the forefront. But after 2019, when abrogation of Article 370 happened in Kashmir region, in Jammu and Kashmir, this is one of the first instances where civilians have been targeted in such a gruesome way, in such a bad way. And who has taken the responsibility? The Resistance Front, which was formed in 2019-2020, after the abrogation of Article 370. They have taken the responsibility. And what reasoning they have given? The reasoning which they have given is Indian government or the Jammu and Kashmir government issuing residency permits to outsiders. And they say that outsiders living in Jammu and Kashmir is not acceptable to us. The question is, our constitution gives us the right to settle at anywhere in India we want, at any place in India we want. But this Resistance Front, which is a terrorist organization, the Ministry of Home Affairs in 2023 declared it as a terrorist organization under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967. This terrorist organization, after the year 2019, has been perpetrating targeted killings of minorities and targeted killings of civilians, tourists in the Valley of Kashmir region. And this is actually a very gruesome attack on the entire security ecosystem of the country, and Indian government and Indian people at large. Now, this attack actually took place in a place known as Baisara Meadow in Pahalgam, which is a very famous tourist hotspot in that particular region. If you go to Kashmir, you would definitely visit Srinagar, Dal Lake, then you would go to Pahalgam, and then you would go to Gulmarg or Sonmarg. These are the only tourist hotspots which are very famous in Kashmir region, which means an attack has taken place in one of the most popular places in Kashmir region. And as it was a meadow, the terrorist had to travel for hours and hours. Either you can go to this place through a horse, or you can go to this place by trekking. And these terrorists, they went to these places with ponies and they traveled for hours. So it was a very well calculated, it was a very well thought of, well planned attack on the civilians, on the tourist people in that particular region. And when this attack happened, actually it was very difficult for the security forces as well to reach at that point in a very quick way. So the quick response team, QRTs, their response was a bit delayed because the terrain is so difficult. And while the terrorists came, they attacked the civilians. Around 5 terrorists are alleged to be involved in this particular instance. They came, they went in that same meadow, in that same forest, and they can't be tracked now. So this warfare, this proxy war by Pakistan being perpetrated in India, it is nothing new. But still, in 21st century, if we see these kind of attacks on tourists in our own country, it definitely makes us question that is the security of the people in our country, is the security ensured well enough or not? And how do we tackle the situation? How do we deal with such gruesome attacks perpetrated by Pakistan's ISI on India? We have to discuss on that. We have to ponder upon this particular issue, because unless these attacks are over, people in the Kashmir region, people in Jammu region, people all across the country won't be able to live at peace. Now, Kashmir, if you see as a region, has been the hotbed of terrorist activities since long, especially in the last 3-4 decades. But one good thing which we saw after 2019, the abrogation of Article 370 and eventually the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act, one thing which we clearly saw was a revival of tourism in Kashmir. In the last 2 years, lakhs and millions of people from around the country and the world have visited Kashmir. And this time as well, when summers came early in April, people were visiting Kashmir region in very huge amounts. If you would have gone to Kashmir in April of this year, you would see almost all the hotels in Srinagar region being booked, which is an indicator of the economy reviving, economy of Kashmir reviving, and economy of Kashmir prospering again. And at that instance, when you see a terror attack of such kind happening at such a huge scale, where 24 people die at a stretch of just an hour, in that instance when it takes place, the tourism, the economy, the culture, everything of that particular area, it comes to a standstill, it comes down. And eventually the economy of Kashmir region would collapse. Because just imagine, any tourist now going for Kashmir region, going to Kashmir, would at least think 3 to 4 times before thinking of a trip to Kashmir. Because if such attack can happen at such a popular place, popular tourist place, then which area is safe in Kashmir? That is what we question ourselves. And which is why this attack is not a very regular attack. This attack is going to affect Kashmir region for the next 1 decade. Until unless security measures, very strict security measures are taken by the Indian government, it is going to haunt the people of Kashmir. It is going to haunt the locals of Kashmir in a very bad way. Because in recent times, you have seen that security personals, armed forces in Kashmir region, they are being deployed in very huge number. Thousands of people have been put behind bars for questioning. Several houses in Kashmir, they have been destructed. Several locals are being questioned about who came for this attack, how this was planned, was any local shelter given to the attackers or not. All these things are being gauged by the armed forces in Kashmir region. And as you know, there is one act, AFSPA, which gives armed forces special powers under these circumstances. So definitely, the lives of Kashmiri people is not going to be good in the next 1 decade. And this is all because of the attack perpetrated by Pakistan on Indian soil. This proxy war, which Pakistan has been perpetrating since long enough in the Indian soil, it will not go well for Pakistan as well, and for those who support these terror groups in India as well. In the whole country, the government is now trying to find illegal Pakistanis who are staying in India illegally. And very recently, only yesterday I was checking, Indian government have also started to ban Pakistani actors, actresses, cricketers account in India, the Instagram accounts. Because why should they earn on behalf of Indian audience, Indian people? Why should they be earning while their government is perpetrating terror on India? So this makes sense, banning those accounts. But let us now discuss, because I thought we would divide this discussion in 4 or 5 different headings. I want to discuss few things about this particular terrorism and about this terror attack and the overall image of terrorism in our country. If you look at it in a broad light, in a broad sense, first we understood what this terror attack was about in the Pahalgam region in Kashmir. Now we will understand what has been the response of Indian government so far. What is the counter response of Pakistan to what is the response of Indian government? And eventually the call for, again, a very, I would say, foolish call of joint investigation by Pakistan, because earlier also the joint investigation has not gone well. And Pakistan, it's basically a very natural trait for Pakistan that first they go for the proxy war, they would perpetrate terror attack on Indian soil, then they would say we don't know anything about it, then slowly they will start saying okay, we are open to joint investigation, and when joint investigation will happen, they will say there is no conclusive evidence, they will come to Indian soil, they will gather evidence, they'll say there is no conclusive evidence, and they will stall the investigation, and then another attack will be planned. This is classic Pakistani act, which has been going on since the last few decades. So we'll discuss about that, and then we are going to discuss on the overall landscape of terrorism in our country. That why terrorism in our country is existing even after 75 years of our independence, and how do we solve this particular issue. These are the headings we are going to discuss in today's session. So hello, my name is Preetpal Singh and you're watching Perspective. We have tried to do something new with the Perspective series, where an unfiltered talk like this can happen between me and you, and I can share the thoughts around all these issues with all of you, and it might help you in your preparation and overall understanding about any particular issue in hand as well. So this makes me or our thoughts reach to you in a better way and in a faster way than the other videos which we record, which are usually animated ones. So I hope whatever your response is and whatever your suggestions are in relation to this, we'll be very happy to take those suggestions in the comment section. Now, while we discussed about this whole Pahalgam issue, coming to Indian government's response. Indian government's response against it was definitely very heavy. On the same day when this particular attack was happening, on the same day, US Vice President was visiting India. Now again, this is not the first time when Pakistan perpetrated terror attack in India has taken place and an American diplomat or an American president or vice president has been visiting India. This has happened in the time of Bill Clinton as well. This has happened during the time of George W. Bush as well. It happened multiple times during Barack Obama's visit as well. Some terror attack Pakistan would plan to destabilize India's economy and show India in bad light in the global world. But no longer this will be the case. The US Vice President J.D. Vance, he has strongly condemned this particular terror attack. He has showed his strength for India. Also, US President Donald Trump, he has also showed his support for India while he tweeted on this terror attack, giving condolence to the families of people who have died. And the whole global narrative is in support of India only. So this is the time period we are talking about when US Vice President has been visiting India. Same time period when India's Prime Minister was on a visit to Saudi Arabia. So Pakistan chose a very strategic time where these two things would be happening simultaneously, and they have been planned well before, which is why this makes this terror attack also a very well planned, well orchestrated terror attack on Indian soil, while these two things are happening simultaneously. And eventually, the government's response, which I was discussing with you, was very staunch. The same day it happened, our Union Home Minister Amit Shah ji, he went on to Srinagar, he went on to that particular place where the terror attack has taken place, talked to the families, assured the families that action will be taken. Now, after our Home Minister returning, and after our Prime Minister again halting the visit and returning to India, Cabinet Committee on Security would meet. And they would give a 5-point action. And 5 decisions, prominent decisions, were taken by the Cabinet Committee on Security. First decision, a very important integral decision, suspension of Indus Water Treaty. So Indus river system, which we share with Pakistan, India and Pakistan, they share with each other, brokered by the World Bank. India says we are exiting the treaty. We will no longer be a part of this particular treaty, and we would no longer be sharing water with Pakistan. That is one very huge measure taken by the Indian government. Second measure taken by Indian government is the closure of Atari Wagah border checkpost. Important decision. Then there is one scheme which we have, SAARC visa exemption schemes. All the SAARC countries, there's a visa exemption scheme for certain residents of those countries when they want to come to India. That SAARC visa exemption scheme for Pakistan, it has been cancelled. So this SAARC visa exemption scheme has been cancelled. Atari Wagah border checkpost has been closed from India's side. And diplomatic personnels in Pakistan, Indian High Commission in Pakistan, those diplomatic personnels has been reduced to only 30. Which means we have downgraded diplomatic engagement with Pakistan. And we will not be engaging diplomatically with Pakistan unless they stop perpetrating these terror attacks on Indian soil. And the last one is we have also told the military advisors of Pakistan in India who are in New Delhi, we have told them to exit. So the military advisor to Navy, Air Force, Army, we have told them to exit our country as soon as possible. So all these 5 prolonged actions have been taken by Indian government, Cabinet Committee on Security after this Pahalgam attack. And in response to it, Pakistan naturally has retaliated. And Pakistan has said that we would be closing all the bilateral agreements with India. And we'll be halting all the bilateral agreements with India. And they're also putting the 1972 very popular Shimla Agreement into abeyance. So they're saying we are cancelling Shimla Agreement, we are pulling out from Shimla Agreement. And also they have condemned this, are pulling back from the Indus Water Treaty, suspension of the Indus Water Treaty, which definitely they would condemn because they are the ones who are perpetrating the terror. Also, they have also cancelled and they have also closed the checkpost, Wagah border, Atari border checkpost. Also, similar kind of diplomatic downsizing they have also done, and that same SAARC visa exemption scheme, they have cancelled it for India as well. That same retaliation on India they have done. Also, one more thing which they did after the 2019 Pulwama attack, same thing which they are doing right now as well, closure of airspace of Pakistan for Indian owned and Indian operated aircrafts, even for the defense aircrafts, they have closed their airspace. This is in retaliation to what India has taken action against them. And definitely we all know that from both the actions on both the sides, who will be bearing most of the brunt, definitely it would be Pakistan. Because India is not actually having a lot of trade with Pakistan. India is not very concerned with what Pakistan does or whatever Pakistan is doing internally. India is not concerned with that. But Pakistan would have a very definite negative impact because of the actions India has taken. And also, India's soft power, we have been using that as well in the whole world to move the sentiment and move the momentum in favor of India. Definitely because we are not wrong in this place and Kashmir is ours. Jammu and Kashmir as a whole is ours. Pakistan has illegally occupied some region of the Kashmir, region which we call as Pakistan occupied Kashmir. But we have not occupied Kashmir because Kashmir, on the basis of instrument of accession, is ours only. So this is the to and fro which has taken place after the Pahalgam attack. Now, as I told you before, Pakistan has given a suggestion or has given a proposal to Indian government for joint investigation. Now, I'll tell you this joint investigation was done by India and Pakistan before as well. After the Pathankot attack on the Pathankot airspace, attack 2016. Then also we gave them the permission of a joint investigation. And some officials from ISI, they flew to India, they came to India, they gathered evidence, they did all sort of stuff. And when enough evidence was there, and when they knew it is again Indian Indians know that it is our fault, they just halted the whole investigation and they say that the evidence is inconclusive. All the evidence is circumstantial and there is no direct evidence linking Pakistan. And again, they're going to do this only because I told you, it is the strategy. They perpetrate terror, they orchestrate an attack, then they'll say we don't have anything to do with the attack, and then we'll find out that the people who have orchestrated that attack and the people who were terrorists involved in that particular attack, they are Pakistani nationals, or they are Kashmiri youth who have been trained in Pakistan, brainwashed by Pakistan. So we'll get to know about that, and then they will say, okay, we are open for joint investigation. And when India agrees for joint investigation, then after getting all the evidences, gathering all the evidences, intelligence in Indian soil, they will say the evidence is inconclusive and they will halt the whole investigation and it won't go anywhere. That is what Pakistan has been doing since long. And definitely this time we won't allow them to do the same. This time our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also very strongly condemned and said that every action will be taken by Indian military, Indian Army, Indian Navy, Indian Air Force to protect the people of the country and to give a very staunch reply to Pakistan that they don't dare to attack in such a way to Indian civilians on Indian soil in the future. That type of attack India is planning, or that type of retaliation India is planning. If you see currently what is happening in Jammu and Kashmir region, every 15 to 20 minutes, there is a drone surveillance in that particular region. There is aircraft surveillance in Jammu and Kashmir happening round the clock. We have been trying to see and we have been trying to investigate the whole terrorist incident. National Investigation Agency, NIA, has taken over this particular case, and they're trying very hard to find evidences, to find the terrorists who have. We have sketches of terrorists as well, and they have been trying to locate the terrorists' identity and locate their whereabouts, and then target them, and then go against them in a very strong way, in a very authoritative way. So this is what the government of India has been currently doing. And definitely we have not accepted the joint investigation proposal of Pakistan. We shouldn't, and we would never accept that. Now, one thing which all of us would agree, people anywhere across the world would agree, that such type of terror attack is definitely gruesome, wrong, bad for any civil society to exist. Any society, such type of terror attack is non-acceptable. It's not acceptable even to the remotest possibility. But if we have to discuss about this, the question which comes to our mind is, who is to be actually blamed? And definitely in this instance, and the terror activities in Kashmir region, only and only Pakistan's ISI and Pakistan's security and armed apparatus is to be blamed. Because it is actually the formal doctrine of Pakistan's ISI to bleed India to 1,000 cuts. When a country is having a formal doctrine to attack another country, and they strongly support the two nations theory, which their army chief and all the personals in Pakistan's army, they've been reiterating this two nations theory multiple times, and division of the country on the basis of religion. Overall, this has become a religious issue as well. In our country also, we'll have a separate discussion on that. But who is to be blamed? Pakistan is to be blamed. Pakistan's ISI is to be blamed in this. But one more thing is there. The Kashmiri separatists, people in Kashmir who are extremists, who support, who are sympathizers of Pakistan, they also need to be blamed equally. Because Pakistan can't orchestrate such type of terror attack without the help of certain local population or without the help of certain local people. The number of those people would be very few, definitely. But those people exist in that particular region, who are sympathizers of Pakistan, who are sympathizers of ISI, who are sympathizers of two-nation theory, and who are separatists, who are extremists, and who believe that Kashmir is a part of Pakistan. Which in no way on earth any government or any, I would say, logical, rational society would believe that Kashmir is a part of Pakistan, because formally through instrument of accession, Kashmir acceded to India. So there is no doubt about it that Kashmir is a part of which country? Kashmir will remain an integral part. It was, is, and will remain a very integral and a very important part of India. No questions, no doubt about that. So there are two parties which you are blaming now. One is Pakistan's ISI. Second is the Kashmiri separatists, extremists who have been merging, who have been orchestrating these terror attacks against India. Now the solution lies here only. Our solution also needs to be two-pronged. That means on one hand, we should be making sure that our external security, national security is very tight, very secure, very strong. So that no person from Pakistan can infiltrate into India. Because see, the infiltration, definitely illegal migration of people from Pakistan into India has been taking place since the last several decades. Now, almost all the borders we have fenced, electric fencing is there, and there are drone surveillance as well, different technologies we have used. But still, the infiltration is there. The number of infiltrators have reduced, but infiltration is there. We need to make our borders so secure that not even a single person from Pakistan can come into India illegally or can infiltrate into India's territory. Once that is ensured, at least we would cut the ties of Pakistani terrorists with Kashmiri separatists. That is one suggestion. Second thing which we can do is to deal with the separatists individually. Now, there are different ways we have taken historically as well, and definitely they should continue. One suggestion which is initially given, and definitely that should be implemented, is dialogue. But if dialogue is not sufficient, then harsh measures, security-related measures needs to be taken against them. Either put them under house arrest, or arrest them, put them under jails, put them under correction facility, any different place. But don't let them roam freely in the region of Kashmir. Because these are the people who will be educating the youth of Kashmir in a very bad way. And see, the nature of terrorism is such that if youth of a particular area or a region is fed a particular information, once they grow up, it is very difficult to mend their thinking or to change their thinking. What maximum you can do is that you can stop them for a few years. But if you stop them for a few years, after a few years, when they feel the time is right, they will again bounce back. They will come back and they will perpetrate the terror. Which is why what needs to be done is, at a very low level, at a very low scale, we need to ensure that these extremist people, they are not educating or they are not putting their thoughts, opinions into the minds of the youth of Kashmir region. And not all of the youth, definitely, but some regions in Kashmir which are heavily infested by these terrorists, heavily infested by these extremists. We need to ensure strict measures against them and against the education which the youth of those areas are receiving, because that would ensure that we cut the terrorist supply for the future in our country, and we make the future of our country secure. See, India has faced the problem of terrorism since very long. Since 1947 onwards, these terror-related incidents have been taking place in India. India is a country where we have lost 2 of our prime ministers in assassination due to these terror attacks. India is a country where in 1990s, we have seen economic crisis. And while that economic crisis was going on, we have seen a terrorism in Punjab region. We have seen terrorism in Kashmir region. We have seen internal disturbances in northeastern part of the country, in the Red Corridor, Maoism, Naxalism, whatever you wish to call it. India, in relation to security, has seen major challenges since we have got independent. So India's experience in handling these incidents is not new. But definitely in the 21st century, where we are talking about artificial intelligence, we are talking about robotics, we are talking about machine learning, talking about such grand things. And while these grand things we are talking about a developed India by the year 2047, talking about a $5 trillion economy, we're talking about a $10 trillion economy. While these things are being talked about, this vision we as a country are taking, alongside this, while these terror attacks, while these internal insurgencies in our country take place, our country would destabilize and won't be able to grow. While on one hand, we should go towards those missions, but on the other hand, we need to ensure that internal security and external security of India is given paramount importance. And that is something which we should not take lightly in any way or manner. And if that is ensured, we would definitely be able to ensure peace and stability for our country. Now, definitely the last thing which I would like to say is, let's see, Pakistan and India both are nuclear powers. So definitely both the countries won't be going for a war. But India should be giving a very strong reply to Pakistan. Whether it be in a surgical strike, in the form of a surgical strike, or whether it be in form of any way or manner which Indian Army, Indian armed forces deem necessary and deem fit, staunch reply needs to be given to Pakistan on a very urgent basis. Because if that is not done, then Pakistan, ISI, won't actually learn the lesson. See, there are several people in Pakistan, the population, the local population in Pakistan, who has nothing to do with it. But what we are talking about is the establishment of Pakistan, who is actually anti-India, actually supporter of two-nation theory, and who is actually wanting to dent India and doesn't want India to grow. That is the establishment we are fighting against. And what we need to ensure is that we win in this particular fight. We ensure peace, stability in our country. We ensure that each and every citizen in our country, each and every resident of our country feels secure when they enter into our nation. That is what we need to ensure as a country, as people of the country, as all the stakeholders who are involved in it. We need to ensure the tourists, the people, the residents, all the people in the country should be feeling safe and secure. I hope you gained a new perspective from this session. Do let me know what are your views surrounding this particular issue. I'll be very happy to read them. All the very best and have a beautiful day. Thank you.